guys, King of Charmanders, aka King. Alright, so I made a video on Gengar. I know a lot of people, Gengar is your favorite Pokemon, and there's a lot of things I say in this video that are actually... Okay, so Niantic just announced in Season 3 that there will be a nerf to Focus Blast. Because of that, Focus Blast Gengar isn't very good anymore. In fact, it almost kind of makes it to where Gengar, there's no, unless you want to run Gengar, like, you might as well just run Haunter, honestly. The thing about Gengar, like, without Focus Blast, with Focus Blast being debuffed, it, depending on how much it is, or like what, or how much energy it takes to get to Focus Blast, now it might make it to where like Gengar can't actually get to a Focus Blast before it dies because Gengar is so glassy. So you're gonna hear me talk about Focus Blast a lot in this video. I haven't seen the changes yet. I will be doing like a 2.0 video on whether or not you want to use Gengar for Great League. But Gengar for Great League just seemed with Focus Blast now. Until Niantic comes out with that update, it's not exactly great. Just because Focus Blast, a lot of other like really good battlers like me were running Focus Blast on their Gengars, and it's what made Gengar really fun, because Focus Blast is what takes out those steals, is what runs through Umbreon if you get the right amount of energy and in the right HP. There's just a lot of things you can do, but unfortunately not. But anyways, let's get started. Here's the ask again. I'm going to talk a lot about Focus Blast. It might still be viable, but I'll be doing an update video on that later. As for now, we're just going to follow what we have now for Gengar for Great League and see what goes on. Alright? Enjoy. Alright, so here's Gengar. Now, this website's GoHub. If you guys are wondering, you can look up your favorite Pokemon, look it up, and see just exactly what its stats are for Pokemon Go. It has this really sweet layout and just a perfect summary for one whole computer screen. Anyways, we have Gengar here. So, Gengar is actually really interesting. It's like Haunter, but it's the final evolution, and it has a deeper moveset. Let's just say that. The move pool. It has a different move pool, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. But for most of you that already play Gengar, like, you kind of already know what it is. Here we're going to analyze just how Gengar is more efficient for Season 3. So, Gengar stats, as you see, it cutely floats around, just bounces everywhere. It's bouncing to the left, bouncing to the right, moving its hips. As you see, it's dancing on this GIF. It is a Ghost and Poison type Pokemon, and it has an incredibly high attack stat. As you see right here, its attack is 261. It's a glass cannon from hell, just like Haunter is. It's very glassy, but very, very powerful. And like I said, it has a deep move pool. Its weaknesses are to Dark, Ghost, Ground, and Psychic. Now, the unfortunate thing is that Dark is kind of there with Umbreon in Great League. Other than that, you might see Wireless or something of that sort. Ghost, which means opposing Haunters, opposing Gengars even, and just like you even have Drifblim running around. So there's a lot of possible Ghost typings that could be running around. Ground and Psychic. And now, Ground is your Galarian Stunfisk, both Galarian Stunfisk, and your Mud Boys. So, Ground is still everywhere. And Psychic is Confusion. If you see a Confusion user, like Hypno, get out right away, because Confusion does so much damage, because Gengar is a Poison type, so Poison doesn't mix with Psychic, and Psychic just absolutely wipes out Poison. So, any Confusion user, you see that, run. Run or get out of there if you can, because Gengar is going to die very, very fast because of its high attack stat and very low defensive stat stats. It is a glass cannon, and glass cannons, what do? They die really fast, but they do hella damage. Now, it kind of has some unique resistances. As you see, because of the Poison typing, you resist Fairy and you resist Grass. So you do resist all the Charmers, and you do resist Grass picks like Tropius' Leaf Blades, Meganium's Frenzy Plants, and it's very interesting. It's because of, here's where it gets good. Against Fires and Pseudovisors, Gengar is very strong because Ghost and Poison both resist Fighting. So as you see, Fighting does a minuscule amount of damage, so does Bug and Normal. So Normal actually doesn't do a lot of damage because it's a Ghost type too. So what do you got? Body Slams, you got the Body Slams, the Slams of the Body. You have, what else is a Normal type move? It does resist Hyper Beam, and that's Skull Bash. That's another thing. And also, it also resists other poisons. It's because poison doesn't is resist the poison. But as you see here, another thing I forgot to mention about Ghost is Lick. So that's why Gengar is very similar to Haunter, because they both have the same typing as well as pretty much the same purpose. As you see here, it has a very deep move pool. It has Lick, Shadow Ball, Shadow Claw, and Shadow Ball. Now, obviously, you want Shadow Claw because Shadow Claw generates a ton of energy, and that's what Shadow Claw is what allows it to get the Shadow Ball and its newfound Shadow Punch very quickly. As you see, if I extend the rows here to 100, you see there's a very, very deep move pool now. Now, this hasn't been updated yet, but Shadow Punch is available now. But as you see, Shadow Claw, you have Sludge Bomb, you have Shadow Ball, you have Shadow Punch, you have Sludge Wave. It has a very deep move pool. It also has Psychic, but that's Legacy. As you see here, Sludge Wave and Psychic are Legacy, so is Dark Pulse. So it has a very deep move pool, but the one that's probably the most interesting is definitely this one, Focus Blast. Gengar has Focus Blast as a charge move, where Haunter does not. And Haunter, it's a very interesting thing because Focus Blast will kill most everything it comes into contact with. It's either going to kill it or it'll almost literally be dead. Now, the good thing about Haunter is that it's kind of easy to obtain. Not really easy to obtain. There's a Halloween event every year, so if you didn't get one, like, if you didn't, well, we had Community Day too, so you should already have a Gengar, and it should be double moved, and it should have Shadow Punch. That's basically the synopsis. But Gengar is very powerful, like a Glass Cannon by Haunter, but each of them has different uses. Like I said, the really unique thing is that Gengar has an access to a deeper move pool, and also the Focus Blast. Alright, so we have PewDog.com, as usual. If you'd like to contribute, please consider so, because the creator's website, Kakuna Matata, is an amazing human being, and if you would like to contribute and help out, I wouldn't be able to do all these amazing things without this website, so please consider contributing. So let's get on to Gengar. Alright, so you got big final evolution of Ghost thingy that had Community Day recently, so y'all hella excited about it. The thing about Gengar, though, it rates at number 89. So it's not horrible, but it's not the best thing in the world either. But if you look at its matchups, it's actually really interesting. It beats Azu, you beat Deoxys defense, you beat Skarmory, Marowak, and Tropius. It has a very interesting, like, what it covers is incredibly interesting. Now, of course, this is assuming the Shadow Punch Shadow Ball, because Shadow Punch does cover, or it gives you a bait move. One of the things that Gengar was really missing was a viable bait move, because when you use Gengar's original moveset, where it had Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, Psychic, etc., that takes up a lot of energy, and because Gengar is a Glass Cannon, it doesn't live for very long. With the Shadow Punch, you can actually bait shields, and you could actually beat some matchups just going straight Shadow Punch, because that stab damage plus Gengar's high attack equals death. Now, of course, you're going to have losses against, like, a viable meta. So you're going to lose against Registeel, you're going to lose a Swampert, Altaris, Stunfisk. One of the things I forgot to mention a little while ago was Sableye. Sableye is a very good save switch. It's also incredibly powerful in Great League, especially if you have a Best Buddy one. So this is, as you see here, you're going to use Shadow Punch is going to be used 100% of the time. You have Shadow Punch, you have Shadow Ball, you have Shadow Claw. Always Shadow Claw. Don't use Lick. The reason why is because Lick doesn't generate energy, because Gengar is a Glass Cannon. Glass Cannons don't live a lot, so you're not going to be able, unlike Snorlax or like Munchlax, which are thick boys, or you're not going to live that long. So use Shadow Claw. So Shadow Claw, plus as you see this really deep move pool. You're never going to use Sludge Wave or Psychic, ever. Or Dark Pulse. Well, you can, but it will, because of like Dark, yeah, it would be very interesting. It'd be a very interesting, because you don't get stabbed with Dark Pulse, and it's very different. But the two moves you want to look at here are the three actually: is Shadow Ball, Shadow Punch, and Focus Blast. So Gengar with this moveset, with Shadow Claw, and Shadow Ball, as you see here, it is. I apologize. It is. Oh wow! So my analysis decides to lag. That's perfect. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Hey, Go Battle League! Oh, it's like Go Battle League. Okay, perfect. So I think it's just okay. There you go. So as a lead, Gengar is number 24, which is pretty high. Like not super high, of course, but it's pretty up there. I would definitely use it as a lead because if you do win the lead with it, you can generate energy quickly and you can start baiting / shadow balling. You have to keep in mind that you still lose against some pretty key matchups, which is the ones on the side. Registeel, Swampert, Altaria, Stunfisk, Sableye, all very good. Your closer is Gengar. As a Gengar, as you see as a closer in a no shield, you beat Tropius, you beat Cresselia, Marowak, Hypno, Venusaur. So, pretty good. Pretty dang good. We're gonna look in a sec. Gengar, I would. It can be a good safe switch. Like Haunter can be a good safe switch. I would just be careful because the thing is that as you see here, what are your key losses? These are very popular. As far as the Tropius Stunfisk core is incredibly popular. So you don't want to switch a Gengar into either of these because both of these will wreck shop. You kind of don't lose that much against Tropius, but I'll show you exactly why. Umbreon, obviously you're dead. Any ghost that encounters Umbreon is just like dead, dead. Unless you focus blast it, which, yeah, unless you focus blast it. We'll go over that too. And then you have Obstagoon. That's another dark one I forgot, is Obstagoon. Obstagoon is very powerful because it's a dark and a normal type. It will resist. It pretty much will resist. Yeah. It will resist. So, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Gengar. So, we're going to go into the battle. Now, first we're going to do a multi-battle because this is assuming Shadow Punch, Shadow Ball. We're going to do this. We're gonna do this. Should we put oh wait, hold on. So if you're gonna do an ultra battle, here you go, multi battle. There you go. Then you pick Gengar, and we're gonna do the standard moveset in the one shields. Now the one shield, if you go here, this is where you go through everything. So we're going to go and instead of putting Shadow Ball, instead of putting Shadow Punch or Shadow Ball, I mean, we're gonna give it Focus Blast. Because Focus Blast does flip some matchups. As you see, you lose a bit of percentage. However, what you pick up, you pick up some matchups, or rather, you do a ton of damage. As you see here, we're going to scroll down. You do beat out well, you're never going to find a Clefairy with Zen Headbutt. It's always going to be Charm. But you still resist that. So as you see here, we're going to go down here. I'm going to put on my Control F on, and then we're going to look at, and we're going to put, and then well, yeah, we're gonna, so what I'm looking for specifically is Umbreon, which is right there. Now, to beat Umbreon, you need to land a Focus Blast and have the energy to land a Focus Blast, as you see there, but I'll show you exactly why for Umbreon. So let's delete that, and we're just gonna scroll all the way down, and as you see, with Focus Blast, you can beat Bastiodon if you bait both shields and then just end up blasting the crap out of it. You also beat, let's see, down, anything else that's super notable. You also beat out Mew. You beat out a Mew set because Shadow Claw deals heavy damage to Mew. And you can just probably go straight Shadow Punch to Mew. Your very strong matchups. Yeah, most of these are just like really random things. Shadow Suicune's interesting. You do have a strong matchup against Drifblim. Because Drifblim with Icy Wind. It's because of the Shadow Punch, that's why. So Shadow Punch gives you a strong matchup against Drifblim. And you have a strong matchup against Lantern. But that's just assuming, like I said, Focus Blast does so much damage. As you see, you beat up Mamoswine. Shadow Zapdos is weak. This is all the one shield, so assuming one shield. So this is all the one shield scenario. So as you see, you got some pretty sweet matchups you beat. But that's just a Matrix with Focus Blast. So now going on to the deep of why Focus Blast over like Shadow Ball. So Shadow Ball does nuke things. Now we're gonna run Gengar, and we're just gonna run a few sims with Gengar and now Focus. Now it's kind of bad because if you do encounter things like, let's say, Cresselia, you don't have a lot of chances. You can still win, but it pretty much relies on you just. Well, you have a lot of chances, but as you see here, it's just straight Focus Punch. I mean Shadow Punch. Focus Punch. Focus Punch doesn't exist. So, as you see, Shadow Punch does 50 damage for 35 energy, and each Shadow Claw will generate energy. So, it takes 5 to get to, it takes 5, so 5 Shadow Claws will get you to a Shadow Punch. Now, that's why Shadow Punch is so good. because Shadow Punch does flip some matchups. For example, if you do Shadow Punch versus Cresselia, now let's assume it's a Mew. Oh no, not Mewtwo. Mewtwo doesn't exist for Great League. Yet. Doesn't exist yet. As you see here, the Shadow Punch does do heavy damage. Now, you kind of only win the one shield because Psyshock does deal heavy damage, but if it doesn't have Psyshock and it has like Overheat, you pretty much win. Let's just assume it has like Overheat. There you go, right there. It's an Overheat Wild Charge beam. If they don't have Psychic, you can actually just straight up Shadow Punch, and it's just GG's from there. As you see, you kind of need a shield to still be contendable with Mew because it also has Shadow Claw. As you see, that still does damage. It's kind of nuts how this only does 2 more damage compared with Stab. But I see Mew is still very dangerous. Now with Umbreon, with a Focus Blast, you need to land the Focus Blast. As you see here, the reason why you are able to survive being up a shield is you could take one foul play. You could take, well, you can't take a foul play. Actually, foul play, okay. Yeah, foul play does heavy damage. As you see here, one foul play does 83 damage. So you're pretty dead. You're pretty dead. Well, like that plus that, you only survive 2 Snarls before you get absolutely trucked by foul play. So as you see here, if you go to 2 to 1s. The reason being is because with the shield, you get that extra fast movement, and then you can Focus Blast. As you see, Focus Blast was 142 points of damage. Because of that, you practically will kill. Yeah, you practically kill it. But that's why Focus Blast makes Gengar so much more interesting. In most scenarios, you won't need to use a Shadow Ball. The keyword is most. Most you won't need to use a Shadow Ball. So that's why Shadow Punch is so good. Focus Blast does almost kill Umbreon, so that's why it's so good. At the same time, if you put Skarmory out there, Skarmory, with the Focus Blast on the Sertera, it does hurt. As you see, it does, as you see, it hurts. It does hurt. It hurts a lot. Just because Focus Blast is so strong. So you do actually win the ones, you bait the shield, then you Focus Blast down, as you see here. Just because Gengar is so powerful. Now, that's just anything with fighting. Registeel, if you do manage to land the Focus Blast, you will KO it. As you see here, it will get the KO as long as you have the shield, because you have to block the Flash Cannon. And then as you see, one Focus Blast does the entirety of Registeel's damage. And so Focus Blast takes 75 energy, so that's 10 Shadow Claws. That's only 3 more than to get to a Shadow Punch, which is nuts. Oh yeah. Well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My math is off. Never mind. That's 10. So it's 5 to Shadow Punch and then 10 for Focus Blast. Because, 8 times 10 is 80 energy. So it doesn't take long for you to get there, and it does an enormous amount of damage. Literally. Enormous, And we don't even want to get started with Bastiodon. Gengar with a Focus Blast does 106. In other words, it just wipes out Bastiodon. But that's why Gengar is so good. With Shadow Punch, it really does give a lot of things a run for its money. Now, if you have Haunter, be careful because, as you see here, Haunter versus Gengar. Gengar will win with a Shadow Punch. Now, this can be IV dependent, just because, as you see here, you only end up with 3 HP. When it's this close, you always either want to already have damage or just, because as you see here, Shadow Claw will do 13 damage. You only do 1 point, and this is assuming that you have proper, like I said, it's IV dependent. This is assuming your IVs are correct, so you reach the proper break or bulk point, which is, as you see, these are the IVs. So your Shadow Claw damage for an attack to guarantee for top IVs is 1571, and these are its bulk points right here. But yeah, it's it's IV dependent, very IV dependent. Well, not very, well, yeah, it's pretty IV dependent. But that's what it is for Gengar. As you see, Gengar Focus Blast does do a lot of damage to a lot of things that are weak against fighting, specifically steals, and specifically steals and rocks. Now, here's the thing, Galarian Stunfisk, Stunfisk, this is something you're going to see a lot. So Stunfisk is a monster. You could still beat it if you manage to land the Focus Blast, but it's still a tall order, because you need to land a Focus Blast, which is pretty much enough to wipe it out. Now the thing about that is that because Gengar is a Glass Cannon, you will likely die to 2 Rock Slide, so you need to land that Focus Blast to win. Now, as you see, it's very powerful. Against Tropius, though, Tropius is kind of the big problem here. Or, just anything that is tanky, because you'll be able to pretty much just Leaf Blade down. You only win the 2-to-1s only because you get that extra move in, which allows you to Shadow Punch it. So, with Shadow Ball, this turns into a different story. You actually gain more because Shadow Ball one Shadow Ball will wipe out Tropius, as you see here. Well, not really wipe it out, but it'll leave it almost dead. But also very IV dependent. So, Shadow Ball and Shadow Punch. As you see, Gengar is very, very good. Whichever Shadow Ball, Shadow Punch is good. Most really good players, and what I do recommend is trying out Shadow Punch because, I mean, Focus Blast. Just because Focus Blast has way more utility. And if you can really, like, play the matchup to not worry about it, it's pretty, yeah, if you play the matchup really well and pretend you have Shadow Ball, you get a lot of value for Shadow Punches. And a lot of things that you beat with it, for example, Deoxys defense, you will just straight Shadow Punch down. See, you Shadow Punch down. Well, this is assuming Psycho Boost, so you will win, as you see, because Shadow Punch does damage, but you don't. Moral of the story is don't get Psycho Boosted by a Deoxys D, because it will kill you. It will definitely kill you. So, as you see here, like I said, you'll pretty much just Shadow Punch down. So there's a lot of scenarios where you'll Shadow Punch. Shadow Ball will flip matchups versus Focus Blast, particularly against flyers like Altaria, for example. You get Altaria, you give it Focus Blast, you lose all scenarios. You give it Shadow Ball, it does flip some matchups. But Focus Blast just has so much more coverage. As you see, you still have winning matchups with the 1-0s, because Shadow Ball does KO. As you see. Well, Shadow Ball doesn't quite KO, but it does a lot of damage. And yeah, for Focus Blast. You'll see a lot of people run Focus Blast. Oh yeah, Focus Blast is I scream Focus Blast. Do Focus Blast. You get to cover steals. You get to cover steals. You get to nuke that Munchlax that's been licking you down. You get to nuke that Munchlax in a certain scenario that's been looking you down if you have a shield. As you see here, you block that Body Slam, you go straight for the Focus Blast. And the Focus Blast does do 261. You will wipe a freaking... You will wipe a Munchlax. Now Obstagoon! Let's assume it. Obstagoon will get yeeted in the Zero Shield matchup because onto Sertera, which is Focus Blast, does 314 damage times 2. As you see, Focus Blast just gives you a lot more coverage. If all you have is Shadow Ball, and your opponent figures that out, then what happens is this. If I give this Shadow Ball, watch what happens. You get walled hard, and you lose all scenarios because you don't have a prayer against Obstagoon. And you don't have a prayer against Munchlax because Munchlax will resist all of your moves, and then you will just get licked out. Yeah, it'll lick you down. Focus Blast changes that. That's why I always prefer Focus Blast. Now, if you're going to think about Sludge Bomb, just play Haunter. Seriously, just play Haunter. Because Haunter, yeah, just play Haunter. Because you don't need it, and Haunter's, yeah, that's just basically me singing my praises. Just play Haunter if you're gonna use Sludge Bomb, because that's what makes Gengar such a great monster, is that it has a deep boot pool. You can play so many things, but Focus Blast is king because you cover, like I said, you cover so much, and you have a chance against Umbreon. You have a chance against Wireless, and as long as you can hit that Focus Blast, you can beat a Wireless. Well, actually, that's assuming that you can, because. Yes, Wireless actually burns you down. Never mind, I lied. That dark typing be too strong. But as you see here, if you do, let's pretend you have 100 energy. So let's pretend you Focus Blast. You Shadow Claw. Okay, there's 100 energy. Pretend you have 100 energy. One Focus Blast is 224. So you will nuke a Wireless. That's if you can get there. So you do have a chance. But as you see, Focus Blast just has so much more utility versus the Shadow Ball. Don't get me wrong, Shadow Ball is the wrong answer, but at the same time, Focus Blast. Just do it. Just do it. Focus Blast is amazing. And now we're just going to go over the key points in the summary. Alright, so for our summary here, again, Gengar is glassy, so just be careful. If you see anything with confusion, like Hypno, or, yeah, just anything, like if you, like, Hypno is probably the most common thing you'll see, but you see Hypno, you see anything with confusion, Cresselia, get out. Immediately. Just get out, because you're gonna die in probably like 4 or 5, and just switch. Just get out of there. Because Gengar is glassy. And the third takeaway, consider running Haunter if you have one already. Community Day Gengar probably took you, if you don't have one powered up already, because Focus Blast is going to get nerfed, and depending on how bad it gets nerfed, might actually change the viability with Focus Blast. You might want to think about just using Haunter. I mean, you probably, if you hardcore PvP, or you don't have one, you probably already have a Haunter build. Just use Haunter. But that's just me because it saves you Stardust and saves you candies. If you have been playing like or grinded really hard like some other players, then I would really consider just using Haunters. Like it says for the rating, it's not bad. The Focus Blast nerf though kind of makes it to where it's kind of like just a second Haunter. It's you know how you can't play the same Pokemon in GBL. It's pretty much like something you can run with Haunter just for fun. It's still very good, don't get me wrong. So you can either run Haunter or Gengar, but my recommendation is just if you don't have a Gengar, you don't need to worry about it, just use Haunter. And that's my analysis. I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be doing more analysis in the future, so look out for that. Stay tuned and have a wonderful night.